Hello folks, this is Perry again at my workbench, and I'm coming to you today to talk about fixing cameras. And what I'm going to talk about doesn't apply just to cameras, it's a general principle of repairing things. So today I've got 3 cameras that I bought on eBay, each of them in certain known states. One of them was working with a bad USB, one of them didn't turn on, and one of them had bad autofocus. So I'm going to go through each one of these cameras, talk about them a little bit, and I'm going to talk about my thought process of why I bought these cameras and what I did to diagnose and fix them. So from left to right are the cameras that I purchased in the order I purchased them. This is a Canon 5D Mark II full-frame camera. I wanted to get into a little bit more serious photography, so I bought a used 5D Mark II. This one was listed as working but had a non-functional USB port. Now, when I purchased this, I assumed the reason the USB port didn't work is that somebody had yanked it out because there was a cord plugged into it and it fell or something like that. That turned out to be the case, and I did a board level repair on that. I don't have any footage of that because it's a little bit nerve-wracking the first time you do it, and it's extremely tedious. And to be completely honest, I was using a 20 power stereo microscope just to be able to see what I was doing. So I don't know how much I would be able to see with a camera shooting it over my bench. So this was the first one, most expensive, and in the most assured working condition. I bought this for personal use, so that's really, sort of the gem. But this camera I bought on a lark. This was the first camera that I bought with the intent of flipping it, saying, well, maybe I'll buy this camera and I'll fix it up and I'll sell it. I only spent $20 on it, so I figured it was a $20 gamble. Worst case scenario, I sell it on again for 20 bucks. This camera came with the original Canon battery, no charger, and the seller said, doesn't turn on, doesn't work. Well, let me tell you something about Canon cameras. Something that holds true for all Canon DSLR cameras is that if you have a missing battery door or the battery door is open, the camera won't turn on. In this case, it had a dead battery when it arrived, no charger. I had purchased 2 brand new batteries off of Amazon, and I was expecting to find some sort of, board level thing where I'd have to tear it apart and learn something new. I put a battery in it, and the thing turned on. Now this one, let's see. Yeah, this battery is no good. That's the original Canon battery. It's FUBAR. That's why the camera didn't work. So for $20, I got a Canon T3. These are worth about 80 bucks. I bought the camera for $20. I paid shipping. I bought batteries, paid shipping on that, and now I'm trying to resell it on eBay. This one was kind of anticlimactic, other than, hey, it's in pretty good shape, and, it just worked. So that was the first camera. So the first lesson you should know about Canon cameras is that the battery door has a switch. This little tab right here, at the tip of my finger, that presses down on a switch that lets the camera know it's okay to turn on. Now they have this for both the battery and the memory cards, presumably so that you can't take the memory card out while it's writing to it. It'll shut down before you're actually able to pull the card out. It's sort of a, protects the owner against doing something silly. So that battery will probably go in the trash, or it'll just go with the camera and, whatever. It's got 2 brand new batteries to go with it. So this camera right here is a Canon 20D. This camera was purchased for $1. The reason why it was purchased for $1 is it's a compact flash style camera. It's a DSLR, so there were parts in this that to me were worth $1 plus $14 shipping. So I've got $15 into this camera. The camera was claimed to work, except the autofocus did not function. That was what the auction stated. Now, something to know, we're back to the trying to diagnose problems with cameras. First things first, put a fresh battery in it, which is not in here because it's in the box. On the charger, actually. First things first, like I said, put a fresh battery in there. Make sure that you've got a battery door on it. Close the battery door. Make sure you have a door on your compact flash slot. Close the door on the compact flash slot. Then turn it to on or this. I don't really understand why Canon has two positions, since almost always you're going to turn it to this because you want to use the wheel, but whatever. Now, back to diagnosis. The claim of this failure, or the failure of this camera body, is that it doesn't autofocus. Well, I received the camera. First thing I did was put a battery in it, turned it on. Okay, it turns on, so I could verify that the seller was being accurate and that the camera does turn on. But the thing that I noticed when I first received it is I was just giving it just a physical examination, looking at it, examining all the little residue and scratch marks and stuff like that to kind of get an idea of, what the history of this camera is. It's got some scuffing around the back of the camera, but no scuffing on the side right here. And these are magnesium, I believe, all these plates. So at some point, this plate right here may have been replaced. And the serial number is from like a Brother P-Touch printer. Put over the original serial number. So looking at this, there's a few things that I can gather. First, not all the body parts are original. The serial number has been changed on the body right here, most likely because the board inside of it is from a different camera. So this camera has seen some repair work in its time, and it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's like, in a good condition, it's a $25 camera. So at $1 with a working camera, it's really, there's almost no value to it except in the components. But one of the things I noticed with the examination, let me zoom in here for you. So what we got here is 8 contacts that the lens connects to. And each one of these is what they call a pogo pin. It's a little spring-loaded pin that pushes down and releases. It goes up and down. It's got a little spring behind it. Now, these 3 pins right here are used for the autofocus motor on the lens. This one right here is called ABAT. And then these 2 right here are actually physically connected together, or electrically connected together on the lens, and these are the motor ground. Now we'll look at this lens. These are the 2 pins that are connected together, and then this is the ABAT right here. These physically connect to the little motor inside this lens, and if these 3 connections right here do not make a electrical contact with the lens, your autofocus won't work. What I noticed during my physical examination of the camera is that this little pin was pushed down like that. It was kind of pushed in, and it was not coming back out under spring pressure. So what I did is I took my X-Acto blade and then I pried that pin out, and I noticed that the pin was slightly bent. So I used another tool and I just gently persuaded the pin. And what that did is it moved the pin over a little bit, and it kind of deformed the plastic around the pin so that the pin could move up and down. Now you might ask, well, how on earth did this happen in the first place? If I had to wager a guess, I would say that they may have put a damaged lens on it. So if we look at this lens in profile, you can see there's a step. So these 5 pins are protruding and then there's the low step right there. The lens screws on this way, so it's clockwise. And my guess is that they must have had a damaged lens or a third-party lens or something. And this little ramp right here that's part of the lens somehow damaged the lens. Or, when they pulled it off, they put a lens on there that, was missing the screws, and they bent the pogo pin. So by doing a little cursory physical inspection of the camera, little examination, I was able to observe that there was a pin that was out of place. I was able to take less than 5 minutes to put the pin back where it needed to be, and now the camera works. The autofocus works just fine, and now I've got an 8.2 megapixel camera from the early mid 2000s that I got for $1 and is worth $20. It's pretty ugly. So it's one of those cases where there's nothing really spectacular. I didn't show any magic fixes, but what I showed is just the basic principle. Your ABCs. Battery cover, card slot. Boom. That's it. And the camera will turn on. Autofocus. Are your pins straight? Autofocus, battery, card, ABCs. And I can't tell you how many cameras I see on eBay that I suspect are in the similar situation. Like this one. I mean, this was a simple ABC, and you've got a $20 camera that's in reasonably good physical condition that will sell for around $80. So, I'm not going to make double my money on it. I'm going to make about $38 on this. And then I've got eBay fees. So the reality is I made probably $30 off of just a gamble. This one right here is not going to make me anything right now. If I get another camera like a 5D Mark I or something that's a more expensive camera that I can use this for parts on, then I'll cannibalize this. But as it stands, it's a working camera. I could potentially stick it on eBay and I might sit on it for a while trying to sell it for $25, but I got $15 into it. Is it worth my time and effort to make $10 on a camera that somebody else may leave me a neutral feedback on? I don't know. I'm just not thinking that it's worth it. But anyway, that's enough of that. So I just wanted to share with you some basic principles of diagnosis. Just using your senses, making some obvious observations and tests. And, I've got another camera. I've got a Sony NEX6, NEX6, that's coming in next week that is a no turn-on situation. So I'll do a follow-up video with that, and we'll see where that one goes. And I thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoyed it, give it a like or a thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe, and you'll see my next video. Thank you much. Bye.